there's a lot of questions being kind of brought up with this chapter. And I think the ones that are most valid are, what exactly are Nakava's plans for the future of this manga? Because he said there was only going to be 3 arcs. He pretty much had 3, and then a little bonus bit with the Demon King. But now he's bringing about chaos, and I'm okay with the manga continuing. And I talked about this before. I know there's a lot of people that would rather it kind of end because they didn't like the last arc. But like I said, you should want it to end on a good one. And the last arc, I didn't really like how it went, like right after the events of Maelstrom de Rosa, but there's still hope that this one could do better. And like I said, I've been following Seven Deadly Sins since the very first chapter came out, and I would rather it end on a good note than a bad note. So I'm willing for that. I'm willing to read another arc in the hopes that this arc is good. Now, there were some good questions that were brought up in the universe itself, because all the characters, they're still having, they're having pretty much a celebration of Escanor's life, that he died. They're honoring his memory. And last chapter, there was actually a really nice spread while they're all eating. I think it was like the last couple pages of the chapter. I think it was literally like the second to last one. It actually reminded me a lot of the Last Supper from, from the Bible. I'm not going to be able to like know exact everything about that. I haven't read the Bible a long time, not really religious. But for what I remember, it's Last Supper. It was before Jesus was betrayed by Judas, and I don't remember the other guy's name, but yeah, betrayed by members that were there, and he was killed. And Merlin, who, when they're talking about like all the progress, Bond brought back Elaine, Meliodas and Elizabeth got their curses taken away. King became a full fairy king. Diane got, agreed to marry King. All the characters seemed to really kind of started getting all of their goals and all their wishes except Merlin. And they didn't really know Merlin's, like, any of her goals, anything about, like, what she's doing. Now, because of that, there's the question, because Merlin had been with Meliodas for over 3,000 years. It was before she even, he even performed the 7 Deadly Sins, before they even met any of the other members. They were the first 2. And there's a lot of mystery to her character, because we know that, she's been fully up this whole time for 3,000 plus years. Her mother was a member of the Goddess clan. She's half human. She was given from birth, at least born with this power of infinity, to where she's always going to have her level of magic at a constant state, and, knows all these different spells and secrets throughout the world. Now, we know that she had, affection for Arthur, and Arthur was a character that I didn't understand his existence in the manga, because for one, he's obviously based off of King Arthur Pendragon. The guy who wields Excalibur, becomes king of Camelot, and probably one of the most famous fictional characters ever. Has Excalibur, literally the most famous fictional sword of all time. I can't think of a single weapon more famous than Excalibur throughout fiction. And he was brought in the manga, and it was brought up in the first arc that, he was able to compete with all these top-level Holy Knights just off of swordsmanship. And we found out he wasn't even using, actually, Excalibur at the time. He didn't really have any powers. It was literally just, he was keeping up with all these people just off of his strength with a sword. And that's it. Now it's pretty hype for the future. Then the 10 Commandments came around. Arthur didn't do anything. He didn't do anything for the longest time. He had Nanashi show up and kind of like become a friend of his, who Nanashi is another character. It's like, what is the point of this guy? The only reason I remember his character is because I was like, what is this guy gonna do? Like, he had this cool samurai looking dude. And other than destroy a couple random nameless demons, there was nothing else really to him. Arthur, like, way later, like, right before the kind of, like, the big confrontation with, with Zeldris, Maelstrom de Rosa, Chandler Cusack, and all that, before, the big shots of the Holy War, you had Arthur get Excalibur. He seemingly was beating them, but he only had, like, a fraction of grasp on Excalibur, and they were just trying to, witness the strength of what Excalibur was capable of. And then he gets kind of like body puppeted by Cusack and stabbed, whereas then he was taken out of the fight. And there was like a comment from Mama Hawk about how, the the king was going to be reborn. And I figured it was going to be like he would be up and then help fight the Demon King. And there's always been speculation of a spin-off of Arthur, or what exactly Akava's plans are. But once Merlin's pretty much questioned about this, she ends up like, okay, yeah, I guess I'll show you guys what my goal is. Teleports them, and they're back at that like big magical lake. The water is just floating in like a big bubble, and she ends up talking about Arthur's awakening. Snaps her fingers and brings him outside of the boar's hat. You see Kath, and I'm wondering where Kath is going to tie into this, because he just kind of showed up as this cat who has, if you look at like the author notes stats, he has like I think like his power level is like 40 or 50,000 just off magic or something. And again, there's the question of like, what exactly is Kath? Is he actually supposed to just be some cat, and it's like kind of a goof that you have like Hawk, who's this animal with like pretty much no power level, and you have Kath, who's just this little puffball, and he's seemingly got a really high one. But now it looks like Nakab is bringing it, because there's been notes about the Mother of Chaos and how she essentially had more darkness than the Demon King, more light than the Supreme Goddess, in the same body at once, and they both feared her. She was, just kind of this weird in-between, like a Nephilim, and that was it's kind of interesting to know that there was some mystery character out beyond what we knew about. And there's still the possibility that there's other big boss characters in the world, because as far as I could tell, rather, and I think other people would tell, the Demon King seemed to really just be over Britannia. So you could have other Demon Kings in other countries, but as this is the Mother of Chaos, and seemingly apparently when Merlin is talking to like this being inside of the bubble, calling talking to some princess, I'm guessing going to be some princess of chaos. Maybe Merlin's some harbinger, some what's the word, like herald of chaos, because now when Arthur is resurrected, they're calling him the King of Chaos. And I'm wondering now, what is the goal for this? Because is Nakaba going to do a spin-off? Is it going to be a long arc? Because this is a character who's hyped up to be above the Demon King and the Supreme Goddess, like both at once. It's supposed to be stronger than both of them combined. And it's not canon to the main story, but in the what's it, Prisoners of the Sky, I think the movie's called. But in the movie, it shows that Mama Hawk is actually the Mother of Chaos. I don't know if Nakaba's going to keep that. I don't know if it'll really matter at this point, but I mean, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if he's going to 100% keep that. But then there's a question again of, what's the plan? What is the King of Chaos going to do? I hope he keeps this, one dark eye, one light eye. But I really like that aspect about Mills de Rosa, that he was both light and dark at the same time. He was like this fallen angel, being of chaos. Now I'm just hoping that, every single time I've ever thought about like chaos in like a war, I always think of Blackluster Soldier from Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is not only a really cool scene, but Blackluster Soldier has such a cool design. Anyway, where is this going to go is just a good question, because clearly it's important. Clearly stuff is like big. This is a big event in the series. This guy's apparently stronger than both of them. And now Meliodas, who's Demon King, this would still be a threat to him. These chaos people. And I imagine the Mother of Chaos, who could seemingly create people, should be able to create like her own crew. So, getting whatever her personal like little gaggle of bad guys for them to all fight would be easy, and you could just make up a bunch of new big baddies on the spot, and it's okay, this character is gonna fight Bon, this character is gonna fight King, this character is gonna fight Meliodas, do stuff like that. So I guess it really just comes down to, what is Nakaba's plan? I saw someone talking about like, oh, he's gonna end it in volume 41. I mean, but we're already on, I think we're already like half of 40, so it's, the question would be like, you can't even question, you can't wrap this up in a couple chapters. It would be stupid to have him show up as like a bonus boss after the bonus boss, because, I mean, it was literally a bonus boss to the final fight, and then what are you gonna add, another one? No, this should be an entirely new arc. These beings are apparently above the goddess and demon clan, which makes sense. Again, they're like beings in between. They can hold both light and dark in their body and create something completely separate. But what Nakaba's plan is, I don't know right now. I'm really looking forward to knowing. I like this plot twist. I think it's interesting. I think it's a lot more built than just the Demon King, because that was one of the things that really bugged me about him. He had nothing really to him. He was just this big, powerful guy that was like a wall. And you can have a big, powerful enemy. I know, like, for instance, just Fairy Tail, obviously a good example. People that frequent my channel know how much I enjoy the series. You look at something like Durasti on Sace arc, you have Zero. Zero popped up. He was like the bonus true boss of that arc. There's not a whole lot to his character. He's this being who just loves combat, bloodshed, like mayhem and chaos, and he was just supposed to be this big wall of threat, and that's what he was. He was, you know, showed up, beat all the members of the main team. You know, Natsu had huge trouble fighting him. You know, he seemingly was more powerful than Jalal. Natsu needed to get the Golden Flames of Rebuke Dragon Force in order to defeat him. And it was like, yeah, you can have a character like that, where it's like you don't need to have a lot of substance to their personality if you're just going for big wall. Which the Demon King felt like that under initial, like, showing up. Like, remember when Meliodas, Bon, and what's the guy's, Wild, the boar, like, fought the Demon King in the Netherworld? They apparently, like, would go and fight him and then have to retreat after a while for, what, like 60 years in their time? So you had that, and then as soon as he got to the demon world, well, no. Once he got Meliodas' body, he was strong until Bon showed up. Once Bon showed up, it just kind of turned around, and they ended up pretty much beating him. And then he took over his Elders' body, and they just beat on him for like almost 30 chapters. It was pretty sad. But as it is, I'm hoping that Arthur does a better performance, because not only is he in the body of a character who has a pretty good presence in the series, lore-wise. You know, like I said, pure swordsmanship alone, no magic, no nothing. He was able to compete with Holy Knight people, which obviously that's just his base strength. No powers, no amplification, and we saw how powerful he was just from first grasping Excalibur. But also, this is a character based off of Arthur Pendragon, wielder of Excalibur and King of Camelot. You can't screw up this character. It's just one of those ones where if you screw it up, you're going to look so bad, because all you really got to do is make him look like a badass, and people will be happy about it, because, you know, it's one based off of a very enjoyed character from fiction. But anyway, comment below, tell me your thoughts about this chapter. I know there's a lot of mixed opinions, because, you know, people are wondering what Nakaba is continuing for when it seemed to be over. I think he just really wanted to do this as another arc, and probably, you know, Shonen Magazine was fine with it. I think the sales for Severely Sins are still high in profit. I know its position in the top numbers dropped, but I mean, as long as the numbers themselves are good overall, then I'm sure he's fine. But anyway, other than that, comment below. Tell me your thoughts are. Thumbs up the video. Really appreciate it. Friend the like button, the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. For that, I appreciate everyone's already subscribed. And I thank you for listening. Bye.